Hello, everybody. Thanks for tuning in to my vlog. We're doing things a little bit differently today. What you're seeing here is actually a pre-recorded event. We're not doing it live today, but it is Saturday, April 11. I might go out for a little walk. It's actually after a couple days of raining. It's sunny out there and it's beautiful. So I might just do a little drive around and just get out of the house a little bit. Yesterday, again, we don't really talk about any updates or information on COVID-19 here on this vlog. I just I like letting the pros do the work. But yesterday, two things actually. We all learned that what California is doing to curb the spread of COVID-19 is actually working. So that's really good news. It's helping to flatten that curve. And the stay-at-home order in Los Angeles County has been extended to May 15. So we're going to be spending another month inside our homes. But if you're looking for information and updates, regular updates and resources for COVID-19, you can go to cdc.gov or who.int. You see the links there on your screen. And they have tons of great resources for anything from how to wash your hands to how to really clean your home, how to deal with grocery shopping, that sort of stuff. So great resource. All right. Well, I'm excited about my guest today because he's a friend of mine. He's a colleague of mine, and we're both working from home. So this is a real treat. Hal Eisner. Hal, hi. How are you?
How you doing? I'm
Good.
good. Before we start, I need to ask you a question.
Sure.
When you said May 15th, the stay-at-home thing has been extended to
Oh, Hal,
2020.
you're
20, what are we talking
wait. Your video's freezing up there. There we go. Can you repeat that?
Yeah, I guess you're going to have to edit this, aren't you?
We'll treat it as if it's live.
Okay. Well, you said that the stay-at-home order has been extended to May 15th. I wondered if that was 2020, 2021, or 2022.
Yeah, probably 2022. No, I'm kidding. No, it's 2020, of course, this year. But
Well, welcome to my tropical vacation home here in Puerto Vallarta, and it's a lovely place. I'm finding new things about my home every day. We happen to be recording this on day 25 of my staying at home experience, and it has been like nothing I've ever experienced in my entire life.
well, let's talk a little bit about that. Actually, how can you describe the experience that you've been going through on this 25th day? I mean, I almost have a month myself, but you were one of the first people to start working from home, especially after the governor's directive that all folks that were of a certain age
Old people, right? Yeah, right. Old people. I got it.
were
There's no value, folks.
yeah, they were recommended to stay home. So you were one of the first ones to actually leave the station and start working from home. So talk to me about that whole experience. What has been this like for you?
Well, I mean, to be clear, this was not something I said I'm calling in sick. On the Sunday, the governor suggested that people of a certain age, over 65, I've been 65 several times, so I'm in that age group. He suggested we stay home, and we stay home because our immune systems at this age become a little more weak. I can get into that in a second. However, I called our management at Fox, and it was their suggestion that I stay home. And I think they had already been thinking in terms of how do we remote people out, what's involved in that process. If this thing does become very large, what do we do? I mean, I think there was forethought going into this anyway, but it happened to be when I called and I asked for some guidance, their suggestion was, yeah, you need to stay home. And so that began my adventure here in Casa Eisner, and basically, they set me up with a nice light and a lavalier mic and a mixer, and of course my laptop is set to Zoom, and and for the last almost a month, I've been broadcasting from home. Not only news stories, but my half-hour Sunday show
Mm.
called Fox 11 News in Depth, and that's been quite the interesting exercise as well. But I would tell you that for a guy who's been around the block, going back to some very old technology, I started this in radio in the 1960s. I was a sophomore in high school when I started in radio. And so, as a guy who's been around the block for a while and I've seen all this technology grow and grow and grow, I still never would have thought that we could have remoted out most of the people from a television station and broadcast to our viewers in this fashion. In the morning, we're on a conference call, Zoom, so we're all seeing each other, and we get assigned our stories. And then instead of going out with a camera crew, I do one of two things.
Mm.
Either first, after getting a hold of people and setting up my interviews, I send a camera to that location, and then I do the interview over the phone as it's recording on the camera. And then that video goes into the station, and then we pick out a couple of sound bites, and I front it from home using Zoom. Um, but in more cases now, I'm actually doing the Zoom interviews on my laptop and then ingesting the video back into the station through something we call Bit Central, which is a vault of video material that we work with, and then still fronting it with Zoom. So I'm doing things that I never even imagined could be done. And I think in some ways it changes sort of the landscape of television forever. The experience has been challenging. I
Hmm.
won't even deny weekdays blend into the weekend because you're in the same environment. There is no uh, change of landscape. So it's a little challenging in that way. But we're getting through it, and we're getting
Hmm.
through it because we need to,
Well, and
and
how
that's
do you?
sort of what's
Yeah.
been.
How do you stay, mentally active so that you don't, go crazy over just being at home and work, work, work? What else do you do to kind of distract you a little bit from work to just keep you sane, basically?
Um, Oh no, I really don't know. I walk to the bathroom, come outside, get some fresh air, open the front door to see if there's anything going on out there. I don't know. I mean, I'm sure I'm doing much of anything to keep sane. I think the best part of the dynamic here is that quarantine is isolation. Isolation is challenging. There's nothing harder on mental health than loneliness. The mental health experts will tell you that. It's been told to me in many interviews that I've done about mental health issues, and when somebody's dealing with isolation, uh, you know, I guess you just have to keep perspective. You have to keep remembering that this too shall pass. That this is a very serious issue because people are getting dying.
Hmm.
That this is something that is that it not even something I could have dreamed of to make a movie, even though they're having movies about plagues. And it's just it's mind-boggling the whole experience. To be honest, I think that someday it'll make an incredible movie for us to look back on, and I hope Tom Cruise or somebody like that plays my part. Brad Pitt actually would be good for me.
There you go. Yeah, I mean, I don't think I've ever been scared of anything like this ever in my life. I mean, it's just the infection rate for this thing is so high that I mean, you don't know if just by walking out and taking your trash bins out, all of a sudden you're gonna get it. I mean, it just seems that way. But
That's the problem. We're dealing with a silent enemy. We're dealing with
yeah.
something. I'll tell you, I was down by the battleship Iowa a few weeks ago before this really got going, and I was talking to a couple of big strong veterans, and we were talking about this flu, the coronavirus, and they weren't seeing it as that big a thing, but it prompted me to say that all it takes is a little teeny tiny thing you can't see to kill a great big tough person,
Yeah.
right? And
Exactly.
and so we all have to remember that.
Yeah. Exactly. Well, just switching things to a lighter side because all this, it's a very serious subject of what's happening, but there's still room to laugh in all of this. And I think you just recently did an interview with Brad Garrett from Everybody Loves Raymond. Uh, how was that like? And then we'll just play the clip for everybody to see.
Well, it was a good interview. The story, so you understand why this clip is relevant. The story was that there's a 16-year-old West Hills teenager who is home from school and looking for something important to do and decided to make masks and started making them for hospitals, first responders, anybody that's in need of this, and she wasn't charging anything. And up to the day that I did the story, she'd made already about 400 of them with a sewing machine. And it happened to be that a longtime friend was Brad Garrett. And he had known this girl all her life. He had known the family for about 20 years. He has a nonprofit that helps young people with very challenged problems, immune system, problems and things like that. And he wanted masks, and she made 50 for him. And he was really thrilled. And so when I interviewed her, I also had the opportunity to interview him. The interview went from his interaction with her to his feelings about the whole coronavirus scare. And wait for the moment at the end where he very deftly changes from serious to Brad Garrett.
All right, and here's that clip.
I'm lucky as well because I have a 21 year old and a 20-year old, and I've always tried to raise them with compassion for people and for those that aren't as fortunate as we have been. And it's an important ingredient. And there's a lot of good kids out there, but to see teenagers that are usually very self-absorbed, because that's what teenagers are about. We all went through it. To see someone like Joey putting it back and doing some good for the community and for people that are in dire straits right now is it gives us all hope. And it's great to see that. And there is definitely something that everyone can do, especially now that we're quarantined and can't do what we usually want to do. So now there's a way to put it back. And if you do a little of that every day, it's going to be a great outcome.
What's the bottom line?
The bottom line, Hal, is you're home and you should probably take your tie off. That's the bottom line. You take your tie off, but put your pants back on, please, please. The bottom line is to pay it forward. I know it sounds cliche, but as rough as it is right now, and it's very rough for some people out there, and my heart goes out to all of them. As tough as it is, there's someone that's got it worse. And without sounding corny, if you just keep that in your head, it'll hopefully motivate you to do a little something. Call someone, give them a buzz, FaceTime with someone that you maybe lost contact with. Send a little money to the food bank. I mean, there are people that are in a food line who literally 2 weeks ago were able to take care of their family. So whatever you can do it.
Yeah.
Wow, that was a great clip.
This is a very nice man.
Yeah.
I ran into him many years ago at the Laugh Factory, and I was doing a live shot for Channel 11, and I was on the stage doing it with the audience in the forefront, and he's behind me. Mm-hmm. And he's mocking me. Every little move I make, he's making the same move. And if I'm talking in the mic, he's acting like a authoritative reporter in the background. And the audience is dying, and frankly, so was I. And I thought it was so funny. And sometimes I don't remember what I did yesterday, but as I told him, I don't think I've ever forgotten that moment when he did that. And when he did this, it was a shocker. It wasn't exactly what I was expecting.
Yeah, but you roll with the punches, and Yeah.
Yeah, but a good message. That was a very good message, and we all ought to listen to what he was saying because that was a very significant point of view. We should pay it forward. We should remember that, we are a community that needs to help each other.
Exactly. Yeah, and you put this clip on your social media accounts as well. So where can people connect with you on social media? Where can they find you?
Well, yeah, and I put this clip, just to be clear about that,
Yeah.
I put it on social media because on television we get so much time to tell a story. And I had so much material I wanted to get in there with Joey Littman, the 16-year-old girl from West Hills and her family, and with Brad. And so I wasn't able to get that clip into my story. And so I thought, what a great opportunity to put it out there on social media, and what an important and great message that is that he's giving us. And so I hope a lot of people will see it. I'm on Facebook. I have a profile page with my name, but I also have a fan page, I guess is what it's called, and that's Hal Eisner Journalist. And then every other social media, whether it's Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, it's my name. And I have a little blue check mark. I'm really cool.
There you go. The coveted blue check mark.
I want to get a T-shirt. I want to get a T-shirt with a check mark, a blue check mark that says I'm verified. It just feels good.
Exactly. Well, and you have a mug. I want to see that mug you were showing me off earlier. And then is that your barbecue grill pit in the back? Because have you done a lot more grilling now that you're at home?
Been in this house. Yeah, I've been in this house for 25 years, and so that's been here the whole time. But this past year, after about 24 years of some disrepair, decided to get it restructured and rebuilt, and so it looks nice and new again.
Yeah, I mean, I've been finding that I've been doing a lot more grilling at home now, more than ever, and it's a great distraction too of what's going on. I love the art of grilling.
I like this idea. I like this idea of being interviewed because it feels like I'm being grilled. Well, sort of.
There you go. Well, what do you have planned for the rest of the day?
Well, I thought I'd take a trip over to my dining room and maybe a little ride around the corner over to the back of the house. I thought that might be fun. I don't know. Got any ideas?
Well, I mean, for me, it's probably going to be the kitchen. That's always a favorite spot of mine, and the patio right after the kitchen.
Yeah. Well, I've got to tell you, I've been amused by some of the memes and some of the things that people have been putting online to have humor. And I want to predicate this by saying that there's nothing funny about the COVID-19 problem that we're having. There's nothing funny about it, but humor is so important, and that's why that Brad Garrett clip is so valuable, because I think it showed that even in the depth of seriousness, and he couldn't have been more heartfelt and more sincere. Honestly, there was a second for him to lighten things up and to make us both smile, and that's what humor is all about. And I saw one of these things, these memes, and it said that face masks are now recommended for your home. Not so much to keep from getting the coronavirus, but to stop eating.
Yeah, no, and one of my favorite memes that I've seen, I have it right here in front of me. One of the things about coronavirus and suggestions and advice from these health experts is that you have to not touch your face. So how do you do that? Well, put on a mask. That kind of aids in not touching your face so much. Dr. Drew has said this many times in the Fox 11 town hall that we have every Monday through Friday at 7 p.m. and it's co-hosted by Alex Michelson. So the idea is just not to touch your face. So this meme came up, and it really encompasses what's happening right now beautifully. It says, if you keep a glass of wine in each hand, you can't accidentally touch your face.
Right. Actually, I've seen that. I've seen that one. Yeah. You know,
Yeah.
again, I just feel like perspective is everything,
Yeah.
and I feel like as long as we remember that there are people who are very sad right now, as long as we remember that there are people who are burying their loved ones right now, as long as we remember that there are people to get sick and unfortunately to pass away that have not yet contracted and been infected, as long as we remember and keep that in mind, then humor will help us deal with that uh, sadness. It will help. But it shouldn't be at the expense of forgetting that
Hmm.
this is a big time, very serious, real problem.
Exactly. I don't think I've ever dealt with a thing that's as huge as what's going on right now. Um, I mean, I can think of maybe 9/11 as the last huge thing that happened in this country. But I mean, this what's happening now. It's crippled everybody. The economy, the many businesses. It's a crippling thing that's happening nationwide and worldwide, really. But I feel like maybe after this whole thing is over, there's gonna be things that I have taken for granted, and I don't think I'll do that again. And also, I'll probably like new practices. I'll probably start maybe not shaking people's hands anymore. Are there any practices that you think are gonna come out of this that you yourself are gonna implement?
Yeah,
To
I think
Yeah.
so. First of all, just to pick up on something you said there, that for me, if it was 9/11 for you, it was the Revolutionary War for me. You know,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
you know what it says in my coffee cup here. Trust me,
Oh, there you go.
trust trust me, I'm a reporter, so you know whatever I say, it's got to be true, right?
Yeah, there you go. I still got to get my cup of coffee.
Yeah.
but what are
You
some of the
know, again,
things? Yeah,
that's that using humor. That's that thing about using humor to lighten the moment, right?
yeah, exactly. Very important to
Yeah.
do. And
Practices though that you asked me a question on the practices that I will probably change. I'll probably be much more aware of washing my hands. I saw a meme that said I never thought that my hands would absorb more alcohol than me. But I think that will be one thing that I'll benefit
yeah,
from. I think the idea. You know what? I think social distancing is something that you know may hang around for a while. Only in the regard that if it happens to be flu season, something like that, I think people may just intuitively
hmm,
think, oh, well, this is a way I'm not going to get sick. It's back off, and maybe we'll
yeah.
do a little bit more of that as well.
Do you think we'll become a country of wearing masks after this, like many Asian countries do right now, currently, or have done for years? You think we'll go into that mode?
You see my head shaking this way, and I think that's because intuitively I don't feel that way. But there's so much we don't know about this particular virus, and one of the things that Dr. Fauci has said in Washington D.C. is that it could come back seasonally, and you know what? If anything even close to this strain comes back seasonally, that means we will again be in a position of not wanting to uh, be in a bad place. And
Hmm.
so I guess intuitively, I think once there's an all clear, I think we'll probably want to try not to do that. Some people probably will do that, but much depends on what the future holds.
Hmm. Exactly. Well, Hal, before we wrap this up, is there anything else that you
No,
want
no. I've got all day for you. I'm not going anywhere. I booked the whole day for you also.
to? All right. Well, we can keep it going as much as we want. Right now, we're almost.
See, I can do
No. I think my wife's making some coffee pretty soon. So,
Okay, I
yeah.
am there.
We're still trying to figure out what we're gonna have for breakfast. So I think tomorrow I might make my world famous chilaquiles, uh, which I tend to do from semi scratch. I call them because the tortillas are store bought, but I cut them up into like little triangles and then I put them in this oil filled cast iron pan and uh, make them into just fry them up a little bit so they turn nice and crispy, and then just put the sauce and
Sounds good.
some grilled chicken and all that. Yeah.
You know
Yeah.
what? If it wasn't for the fact that I've got something on my calendar tomorrow, I would come over and have breakfast with you and Claire. And yeah, but you know what? I don't think I can leave the house. I got too much to do.
Well, it looks like such a nice home anyway. Why would you want to leave it?
It's comfortable. I think, look, the bottom line is that, and I know you talk to a lot of reporters and people who are in the public. The bottom line is that we're broadcasting like we've never broadcast before. We're doing news like we've never done news before. And it's the most important news we've done in a long time. And so, I hope that people will recognize that those reporters and camera people and those folks that are in the field getting information for you so as a viewer what's going on around you, how to stay safe, how not to, contract this thing. I hope sometime if you have a chance, you'll thank them, because these people are out there just like any other first responder. They are people who are considered to be essential, and because we're first responders. And so, it's not like I'm on the same front line, being at home, but I do think that we have to really pat the backs of those who are out there doing the hard work and the heavy lifting. And for those of us at home, it's not quite as challenging, but it has other challenges, and we're getting over those as well. So, Oscar, let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
You're doing the digital work for Fox 11 along with the rest of the digital team.
Yeah.
How challenging is that become?
Well, it's definitely there's been some limitations, but lucky for me, I had the hardware already from home to make my job easier, so I didn't depend on the station providing any of the hardware. But I just the other day I just got access to a platform that I hadn't had access to in practically a month, which is a helpful tool. But at the same time, it just had me communicate with my coworkers a lot more if I needed to get some information. So in that aspect, in that regard, I think it was a positive thing that I didn't have this tool, because it just allowed me to communicate better. And that's one of the things that I really like about what I'm doing now, is that it just gives me a chance to communicate even better than I was before, which is strange enough to say, because before we were seeing each other in person, but for some reason I feel like my communication has just picked up. But some of the things I had to do, for example, was when I knew that I was going to start working remotely, I had to upgrade my internet speed. So luckily it wasn't too expensive for the tier I went to, and I have Spectrum, so that was not so much of a challenge. Just had to call, and fortunately, the router, the modem I had, they were compatible with the internet upgrade. So I got that done within just a few minutes after talking with them. It was easy. And then I actually had to purchase a new graphics card for my computer to be able to handle all the things that I wanted to do, including multitasking and everything. But I actually have a custom PC that a friend of mine helped me build years ago, and at that time we hooked it up with the best of the best, which years later it's still holding up. The technology, it's been amazing, but it's helped me do well. The other thing I had to do was buy another monitor, so now I have dual monitors. But just these logistical challenges were easy to overcome. Luckily I was able to get them in the nick of time, including hardwire my computer to the internet. Before, now everybody's on Wi-Fi. Everybody's using Wi-Fi, so you have this wireless router hooked up, but everything's Wi-Fi. So in order for me to take advantage of my new internet speed, I had to hardwire my computer, and my modem is downstairs, my computer is upstairs. I have a little studio office. So I had to.
I gotta tell you, it sounds to me like you had to have Claire walking around behind you with a camera and do a show called Life with Oscar.
Yeah, no, we definitely shot some things around and around the house and just to document what we're going through, for sure. But yeah, those are just some of the things that I've been going through with work wise. But I've been fortunate enough that it hasn't hindered my ability to post news and write articles, because I bought these. I bought some of this stuff while I was working from home. So I originally started out with a big screen, which it was well, it's a TV monitor. But since I didn't really use my computer at home a lot, I didn't mind the monitor size. But then it kind of started hurting my eyes, and that's why I decided to just downgrade to two smaller monitors. And but with all the equipment that I had originally started with, I didn't have any issues doing my job. I could do maybe
But
90.
let's talk about though.
Yeah,
But let's talk about one thing you haven't mentioned.
yeah,
The most important skill that any journalist has, whether it's a digital journalist or a broadcast journalist or whatever, to gather and articulate information.
oh no,
Despite liars and despite
yeah,
gadgets and gizmos, our ability to insightfully to be able to get down to the bottom line, to be able to get to a point where we can get information and articulate it back out to those people that need to have it. That's been around forever. And whether the technology was a printing press or the technology was all the things you just mentioned,
yeah,
we are still doing the same thing that has been done during World War II, World War One, Korean War, every conflict, every major issue, 9/11, the whole nine yards. We're doing the same thing. We are being journalists, and we're using those journalistic skills to do what we need to do for our communities. And so I would say it's a really good thing that in today's world we have this technology, because if we didn't have this technology, one, I can't imagine how we'd get information out with social distancing. Number two, I think that the social media aspect here has opened a window so people don't have to be alone, and so people can reach out and be friends. And just to pick up on what Brad Garrett said again, be nice to somebody, say something, like call somebody. Remember that there are people that feel alone, there are people that feel isolated, and sometimes on social media, I'll actually take a minute and say, "How you doing?" I'll write to somebody that I think might be alone and say, "Are you okay?" I'm not saying, "Are you okay? Do you need me to bring over groceries?" But I'm saying, "Are you okay?" Because if they're not, I want to be an ear. So I think that all of that technology that you talked about and all that ability to put things together is what makes you special and makes you be in a position where you can help facilitate a lot of things that in years past we weren't able to facilitate. And for those who happen to be watching, Oscar and I work very closely together, as I do with other digital journalists at our station. And these guys are terrific, and they do great work. And so the people behind FoxLA.com, Oscar being one of them, work just as hard as me or anybody else in this business, and are doing the yeoman's effort to try to do a good job during a tough time. So,
yeah.
kudos to you guys.
Well, thank you for those kind words, Hal. Yeah, it's been a humbling experience, covering something of this magnitude. Back in Santa Barbara, when I worked, I went through the Thomas Fire, which started in Ventura County, ended up in Santa Barbara County, huge fire. Then the deadly Montecito mudslides that killed so many people, so I had to go through that as well. And then now this, so it's every single disaster I've covered digitally has been its own challenge, but then we learned something from it, how to do it better if another disaster happens. And so even working remotely, we had to come up with a system so that we could communicate and put information out there and not stumble on each other, because I count on a team of other web producers as well. So I'm not the only one, and so we have to have the ability to get the information, but also communicate that information to the rest of the team. So again, we don't double up on work. So just coming up with that system, now we know that we can do this remotely. But like you said, we don't lose the fundamentals of news gathering. So for me, I get the information from my reliable sources, which include other teammates. The assignment desk sends me information, whether that be email or any of the communication tools we have. And then I get that information, and then I start creating, a web story around that, and then push it out on social media. So some of this information, though, I have had to vet before I even put it out there. So that's the other component to this whole thing. So even as fast as we are, we still have to vet some of this information that's coming in, just to make sure that we're putting out the most accurate information out there, and factual information. So yeah, that's one of the things that I've been doing as well. So by the time from the moment you see a story come out, or for us to get the story to when it actually comes out and gets posted to the public, it's maybe just a matter of minutes. But we do our work, and there's a team of people that look into vetting that information, and then it's just it's game on after that. So it's been
one thing you said that was very important.
Yeah.
I think is that there's a team, and on your side of the newsroom, it's a team of Patrick and Mary and Alexi and who am I missing here? Shelly and Kelly. You've got a whole team of people, and so everybody has to do their part, and which reminds me of the old notion that there is no I in team. And even though we as team members feel very I at the moment because we happen to be at home or we happen to be isolated, still you have to make the effort to try to reach out to the rest of the team. You have to try to work with the others either through the computer or through telephones or whatever. This whole process of quarantine news coverage is pretty challenging. I think, when this is all said and done, I'm sure there'll be some books. I'm sure there'll be a lot of essays and thoughts written about, what we did and what we did right and what we didn't do right. And, but I will go back to the notion that when in crisis, you deal with the moment. And you push the politics aside, you do all that other stuff, and you deal with the crisis in front of you. And then you look back, and then you deal with history. Then you look back at whether the journalists did a good job, whether the politicians did a good job. But right now, we're dealing with a crisis, and that's the thing you got to deal with first and foremost. But, your team is exceptional. They do a great job. FoxLA.com is an incredible website for those who haven't taken a look at it. And Channel 11, Fox 11, and My 13, they're not so bad either.
Exactly. Talking about books, you mentioned books. Is there anything that you're reading right now?
I can't say it on TV. No, I'm looking. No, it's distracting. It's Oscar. You pick up a book, you read about it, and some you have the wherewithal to focus, and sometimes you don't. And so I find myself really just I'm reading more online as opposed to reading hardcover books, just because of my attention. I shouldn't be touching my face. I think is just like I think I move from one thing to another. But I have some books. They're sitting on my nightstand, and I will get to them. It seems like I've got plenty of time.
Yeah, well, one of the books that I think I'm going to start reading, and I've had this book in my Amazon shopping cart for years, talking about maybe some 8 years already, and I've always had the intention of buying it, and I just never did.
Maybe they don't have them anymore.
Well, that's the thing. It is out of stock right now, currently, but I think they have an electronic version now. So I think I'm gonna get that. But
What is it?
it's called A Journal of the Plague Year. A Journal of the Plague Year. So if you can see it right, well, it's not in focus.
There you go. There you go.
So this book, it's a story about the bubonic plague, and I think it takes place. Well, I think the first account of this book was maybe written in the 1700s, but this is the bubonic plague that affected Europe in the 1600s.
Not exactly light reading, right?
Yeah, exactly. But there was a short film. I don't know if you remember. This was years and years ago. When the internet first was coming out with like a YouTube type streaming of movies. There was one called Atom Films. ATOM, Atom Films.
I remember when he was with Eve, and they had this Apple thing, and no, wrong one.
Not quite. But no, this platform had a lot of these short videos that people would create. Just think of it as YouTube, the early stages of a YouTube-like platform. And there was a animated short story that was so impactful to me, and he actually dealt with a pandemic, and it was the Black Death, they called it, that affected Europe, many centuries ago, and it was. I think it might have been like maybe a 5-minute film, but it was a wig maker who his job was basically to make wigs for that period of time. Whoever wanted to buy the wigs, I suppose. But he was quarantined. He kept doing his work, but he was quarantined at home, and he kept looking outside the window, and he would see all these death collectors, or it's just people that would go around collecting the dead folks that people would just put out on the curbside. It was very hunting, but that was so impactful. And then I learned that it was based on this book, A Journal of the Plague Year, and so I back when Amazon was only selling books, I found the book and I put it in my shopping cart, and with all the intention of buying it, and it just never did. And then I was going through my shopping carts on Amazon because there's a lot of items out there right now that are hard to find, even if you go to the grocery store or another store to find these items like disinfectant wipes, for example. So I'm looking at all sources to see where I can find disinfectant wipes, and right now Amazon, some things are out of stock, but then they come in stock. So I keep checking every day. So I was just checking my list, and the book came up, and I was like, oh, well, I think maybe it's time that I start reading that. But it comes highly recommended. So that's probably one of the books I'm gonna pick up. Also, like 1984, George Orwell's 1984. I read that book so long ago, but
I have one.
Yeah,
I have one. Yeah, it's been in my shopping cart forever.
Uh-huh.
In fact, it was done originally in hieroglyphics. It was called Between a Rock and a Hard Place by a fellow named Fred Flintstone. And that's another joke.
Oh, man. You're full of jokes today. I like that. I like it a lot.
Maybe that's the way you get through this, is being light and trying to have a little fun with things.
Yeah. Well, Hal,
the bottom line. Bottom line is you and I are having a conversation electronically.
Yeah.
We have meetings now in the mornings and the afternoons at work electronically through Zoom. We are connecting as a community through this sort of a device where, we're talking to each other. Just imagine a world where we didn't get to talk to each other because we all had to social distance. So in so many ways, whatever the downsides of social media may or may not be, whatever the downsides of spending too much time on a computer may or may not be, this thing has opened up the window and let in fresh air for an awful lot of people, including a few light moments.
Exactly. All right, Hal. Is there anything else you want to talk about before we wrap this up? Got to get some breakfast.
Well, no, I'm coming over to your house for that, but that's when the quarantine is over. Probably should get something before then.
Yeah.
I just think that we're in a very interesting time, and we're all learning together. This is a real time experience, and we're all learning together. We're all doing together. We're all looking forward to the day when we get back to normalcy. And I think that the more we can be good to each other, the better off this is going to be for everybody. There are tensions. There are moments that are difficult. Lack of communication sometimes, sends people, including me, sometimes right up the roof. And those are things that you asked what the residual effects could be. Well, I think I'm learning more about me.
Mm-hmm.
I think, hopefully when we get out of all of this, I will be a better me. And maybe then, instead of it saying Fox 11 there, maybe it'll say the new and improved Hal Eisner or something. But I think there's something for everybody to learn out of this thing. So I'll find out what it is when it comes.
Exactly. Well, Hal, thank you so much for just coming on my blog here and just
Oh,
chit-chatting
done?
with me.
I thought we were
Yeah.
just-
Oh no, your video froze again.
What's interesting, Oscar?
Yeah.
The video has frozen several times during this program, and we all understand that.
Yeah.
What's amazing about it though is every time it freezes, you end up looking something like
Exactly. Technology has it's good, but sometimes if it crashes, it gives you the worst facial expression in your life.
So while we have a second here where it's
Yeah.
actually working, you
Yeah.
can find me on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, any other social media because I'm on it. I'm even on TikTok, although I don't use it very much. And also, besides Fox 11 News in depth on Sundays at 9 a.m. on Channel 11 and noon on Channel 13, our sister station, I have a podcast, and that podcast has nearly 100 episodes. And since you've got time on your hands, I hope that you will spend some time and check out some of these episodes of the podcast we call What the Hell? And these days, that could not be a more apt title for anything. What the hell?
There you go. Exactly. Well, Hal, thank you so much. I love you, man. I hope that we get to be with each other again soon and enjoy a picnic or a grill outside in the sunny weather. We'll stick around a little bit. Claire wants to say hi.
Oh, good.
All right.
Okay, great.
Perfect. And for everybody watching, thank you for tuning in. I really appreciate your support. So I love your feedback. I've been getting a lot of positive feedback on these vlogs. So thank you. And stay tuned for more of these daily vlogs. Just follow me on social media. You can follow me on Instagram or my Twitter. You'll see the handles there at the bottom of your screen. All Flores News. On Twitter, it's more newsy content. So you can catch up on more updates. I do retweets. I put information out there on the coronavirus. Now, I'm off on weekends, so my activity on Twitter is not as heavy as it is during the week, but follow me there anyway. And on Instagram, of course, it's a lot of fun. So I'll probably do some Instagram lives there as well. And if you want to get the latest on the coronavirus, always, again, go to cdc.gov or who.int, and you'll find it there. It's a beautiful Saturday day, so I hope everybody is having a good time. Stay safe out there. Listen to your health officials. In fact, follow your local media sources, your local health and government officials on social media as well for information. Today, they're more like any other day. I think there's going to be more press conferences, news conferences, so you can tune in to your local news stations for that as well. Stay safe. hug each other, love each other, and yeah, get some fresh air. All right, until next time, thank you, everybody.